The Patriotic Alliance has threatened to leave the DA-led coalition in the city of Johannesburg following their support for COPE's candidate for Speaker, Colleen Makhubela. To find out more, we're joined by Patriotic Alliance Deputy President Kunene. Good evening to you and welcome, Kenny. In that vote, you moved with the ANC and others, helping to deliver that crucial victory to the COPE candidate with a difference of just 12 ballots. Why did you feel so moved to tackle what you termed the DA's so-called arrogance?
Good evening, Iman, and good evening to your viewers. Look, there was a proposal by Action SA that the IFP was not given what they deserve in the coalition, and they therefore suggested that since the opportunity presented itself, the IFP should be given mayor, to which we agreed. And we then discussed that in the coalition, and all the parties agreed with that proposal. And we put a further proposal of reconfiguring the mayoral committee. However, the DA, despite all the rationale being put on the table by all the parties, the DA rejected our proposal and the proposal of Action SA. And all that John Steenhuisen could say was that FedEx has made up its mind, and they reject any proposal to reconfigure council or the mayoral committee. So we found that to be very arrogant, disrespectful, and rude.
Well, let's talk about these foundational agreements or these binding agreements between parties when you get into a coalition setup. And we understand as the public, it sets out the internal rules of engagement. It defines the rules of engagement for the cooperating coalition or political parties. What does your internal binding agreement say about these loyalties regarding, who would be guaranteed this or that position?
Remember, we came late into the coalition in Johannesburg, and when we came in, we were then informed that Action SA informed us that EFF voted for the DA Speaker, Mayor, and Chief Whip, but it was never discussed. So it came in and it was put in the contract or in the agreement by default. However, these agreements give guidelines, and these agreements are based on mutual respect and also understanding. So if another party feels that they are a big brother and therefore they will not listen to rationale, the parties can instruct their councillors, or councillors can decide to vote otherwise. So it is not an issue of this is what we have agreed on and therefore it must happen. By the way, on Wednesday when we were about to vote for Colleen Makhubela, the DA asked for 30 minutes and they said they were now prepared to reconfigure council, and they were prepared to give IFP the speaker, and they were prepared to reconfigure the mayoral committee. So why wouldn't they have done it then? As we are speaking now, the DA is reconfiguring its own mayoral committee in Ekurhuleni. So it is not rigid, but these are guidelines that seeks to say this is what you are going to be in charge of, that you are going to do. However, at any given time, when an opportunity presents itself, there can be a deliberation to reconfigure.
Right. So Kenny, in politics, time moves quickly. Where are you today with your place in the DA-led coalition here in the city of Johannesburg?
We have voted for Colleen Makhubela, and we have voted to remove Dr. Mpo and Palate, and we have voted for Mayor Dada Morero to be the mayor. That's where we are now with the ANC.
All right, we'll leave it right.
Johannesburg.
Yeah.
And we will be part of that coalition in terms of the mayoral committee deployment also.
All right, so as you say, your understanding is that these agreements can be fluid, they're not rigid, they're organic, depending on what developments happen in council going forward. And we probably will see a lot more of that as we span some of the other metros here in Gauteng. Talk to us, Kenny. about your views on the new mayoral council announced today. Will the work get done? And I think one of the concerns that residents of the city, especially those in, for example, informal settlements who were hoping for their settlements to be upgraded so that they could have proper housing, is that those plans are likely to be shelved. So I just want your thoughts on the new MMCs.
In the city of Joburg?
Yes.
Yeah. No, definitely. As you would have seen that we have a deployee of PA in council as a housing MMC. And obviously, we are committed to doing that. That's the portfolio we held in Ekurhuleni, and our councillor did very well there. And what is very important to what you are saying, Iman, remember, when you are at local level, you can always link with what the province is saying. And I heard in his speech, in his acceptance speech, and also at the press conference, the new premier emphasizing the issue of informal settlement. So it speaks to exactly what we want to achieve, because the death of informal settlement also makes illegal immigration or illegal immigrants very much untouchable, and they are partly the cause of the growth of informal settlement, because they don't have anywhere to stay, so they just erect shacks anywhere. Not that South Africans are not doing so, but the growth of informal settlement is worsened by illegal immigrants. So what the Premier has pronounced as the vision of the province is exactly our vision, which makes things easy for us to implement, as we will also engage the province in the eradication of these informal settlements, which are, by the way, a serious cause for concern, also for crime, also for electricity shutdown, because cables are stolen and they are kept in informal settlements, they get sold. So they are really part of the cause of some of the social ills that happen in our communities.
Kenny, just share with us some of the data sets you're referring to when you talk about the proliferation of illegal immigrants in the informal settlements that you refer to now.
I didn't get your question there, ma'am.
Yeah, just some of the data that you're relying on, just for the public's benefit, in talking about, the proliferation of illegal immigrants in the informal settlements.
Iman, I go to informal settlements to campaign. And part of the concerns of South Africans would be that most of the people that stay in informal settlements are illegal immigrants or are migrants that are undocumented, as they say. To us, so if you are undocumented, you are illegal. So I don't really have a data, but all I know that in this country, there's about 13 million illegal immigrants, people that are not accounted for. A country cannot function well and properly if you have those type of numbers. And you can go to any illegal settlement or any informal settlement, especially those that even cars can't drive in. You will find that most of the people there are illegal immigrants.
We're out of time, Kenny, but certainly a conversation point that must be picked up later. Patriotic Alliance President Kenny Kunene.